Welcome to The Read Along,
a mini book club for your ears.
I'm your host, Scott.
I'm your other host, Anita.
And join us on a journey through a good book,
one chapter at a time.
Do you like talking about movies? Do you like talking about mediocre movies? Do you like talking about how you could have fixed mediocre movies? Well, I certainly do, and you can listen to me, Scott C. Bourgeois, along with my co-hosts Greg Beaver and Liam Creswick, as we give our notes, and I have some notes. You can follow it now on your podcatcher of choice, or support it by visiting patreon.com/IHaveSomeNotes. Had a whirlwind long weekend.
We call it Easter.
Yeah, we had the whole fam jam out from my side.
Almost the whole fam jam.
Yeah, very few people couldn't make it, so there were over 30 people.
I was going to say, our count was about 35?
Yep.
We fed a lot of people. There was so much food.
Hid Easter eggs around in the backyard for the kids to find. Kids had a great time outside.
The Easter Bunny showed up.
Yeah, that was not something we had planned, but it happened.
Yeah.
It was good times.
It was a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it was a good time overall. So I said we'd give a little update on how things went. That's how things went. Went pretty good.
Yeah, an entire table full of desserts.
Which was more desserts than we were counting on.
Oh, so many extra desserts showed up.
Yeah, but there was enough food for everybody.
Oh, more than enough.
And enough chairs for everyone to sit at.
Surprisingly.
Worked out perfect.
Yeah, it was nice. We got lots of thank yous and compliments.
So if you celebrate, happy Easter time.
And if not,
Slightly
happy
belated.
weekend.
Happy weekend, yeah. Hopefully you got some chocolate either way.
Yeah.
At any rate, one thing that we were able to squeeze in amidst all of the hosting was reading the book.
Yeah.
So we're recording on the long weekend Monday, which is a time that the kids have off, but we don't.
Well, I took a vacation day because the kids are home.
But the key thing is, normally when we record, we try to record when the kids are either not here or in bed. And that is not the case today. So we're going to try to get this episode banged out real quick so that we're not interrupted. So we'll just dive right into a brief recap of our previous chapter, which was chapter 13, in which Dani sets to work painting Archer's portrait, decides to take a break partway through, heads over to Rabbit's place where we have a little encounter with Brenner. And then Dani gets to see Rabbit work her magic for the first time before she gets called by Elliott, who is in need of desperate and immediate backup, which takes us into Chapter 14 of The Frame-Up by Gwenda Bond.
I've titled my notes, The Rescue? It starts out as a rescue?
Kind of. So Dani heads on over to the home.
Yes.
Near the fortress.
The mansion, if you will.
Takes a hot minute to get there.
Yeah. She has an almost but not quite friendly interaction with Rose.
Yeah, when she rolls in, she and Rose happen to meet kind of at the entrance.
Yeah.
And Rose walks her in. They have a little bit of a chat about the upcoming gala. And it, as you say, it borders on like friendly.
Yeah, well, they share like a silly smile over Emmett's predicament, right? Being trapped by the ex-wives. And then they chat a little, and then Rose like can't help but throw a dig at Dani, which ruins every kind of positive rapport that they were building up in this conversation.
Yeah, because she mentions that the gala is going to be black tie and gives Dani kind of the look of someone who's like, you do have a black tie outfit, right? And Dani rightfully takes a little bit of offense to that and is like, I assumed it was black tie. I will be dressed appropriately. Thank you.
Well, she doesn't say all of that.
No, but the implication is there.
The subtext.
Yeah. One other little thing that happens in that interaction with Rose is Dani does ask Rose what her post-auction plans are. If she's staying on with the family, if she's got some offer from somewhere else. Rose is a little cagey, doesn't really give a solid answer, but she does mention that, like, how many times in your life do you get an opportunity to create a masterpiece, I guess is kind of the way she puts it.
Yeah, she mentions that building this collection for Hackworth was, like, her life's work.
Yeah.
And truly, it has been. It, like, her entire career, I think,
for the most part,
has been procuring pieces for this specific collection. And I think she was cagey about it, yes, but I think she was cagey about it because she was being indecisive about it.
Yeah, she doesn't know what she's going to do next.
I got the impression that she doesn't know yet. I think she's going to wait how the auction goes.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people are waiting to see how the auction goes.
Yeah.
For various reasons.
Oh, lots of reasons, I'm sure, yes.
So Dani heads up to go and rescue Elliott because he has not only been trapped by the ex-wives, he's also been trapped by Emma.
Actually, I think Emma's the one who did the rescuing from the wives.
Yeah, but Brad's daughter is also a problem because, as Dani thinks, Elliott doesn't really do well with kids. But he is holding his own with the four ladies that he's stuck with.
Yeah, she says that Elliott's terrified of children, but I never got that impression from him at all in this chapter.
He's very much humoring Emma when they get there. She's like putting makeup on him. Oh, to make him look like a clown specifically, because she's going through a circus phase, apparently.
We have to put makeup in air quotes, because what she is using is basically a Crayola marker.
Yeah, and Elliott sees Dani come in, has a look of, oh, thank God, which almost warms Dani's heart. And then assures her, oh, this is washable marker. It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
The ex-wives are there having a blast watching him keep Emma entertained.
Flirting mercilessly with him.
Yeah.
Or trying to. Anyway, I don't know how reciprocal he's being.
Indeed.
Short of being like the polite kind of charming.
Oh, a couple observations, actually, that we accidentally skipped over. As Dani's coming into the house, number one, she notices there's no art in the house.
Oh, yes.
Apparently, Hackworth only had art in the fortress. There's, like, nothing adorning the walls in here.
Which is insane to me.
Yeah.
That there would be no decoration at all.
Really to speak of. And number two, it's clear the house isn't really inhabited all that much. And Rose does confirm the ex-wives are just staying at the house right now out of convenience. And that does make Dani wonder briefly where Brad, Emma, and the ex-wives normally are.
Yeah, normally live. Well, I assume the ex-wives, being ex-wives, would have their own homes somewhere else.
One would presume.
Right?
Though we only ever see them together, too, which is a little weird in itself.
But... Yeah, but the situation sort of calls for that. I don't think they run together regularly.
Well, and to be fair, maybe they kind of do, because Rose did mention they have this weird sort of parasitic codependence on each other.
Gross.
So maybe they do often spend time together. Who knows? Hard to say.
They seem to hate each other, though, so I don't know why they would do this to themselves.
I mean, kinda, but also not.
I mean,
it's a complex situation.
I mean, they do all have a quote-unquote common enemy, and I suppose the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess. Like, they're all exes, so they all dislike this man equally, even if he's dead.
But yes, Elliott tries to extricate himself from his predicament by, first of all, Dani giving him an excuse to go and check out the security. But number two, also kind of tries to fob Emma off on Dani for a minute by being like, oh, Dani can draw. And then you can see instantly in his mind, he's like, oh, I've made a terrible mistake.
Well, and because he knows how to read Dani, whereas other people might not. He can tell, like, he should not have said that.
Well, not only that, but the nature of Dani's magic is such that anything she draws is going to look perfect, number one. And number two, if she draws it in the style of anything else, it's going to look like that style. So it's an instant way to show a room full of people you're trying to exchange a forgery with.
Yep.
That you can make a perfect forgery. Dani's like shooting him daggers with her eyes, and he's like, I'm sorry.
And he's like, oh, I should not have said that. Oh, no, I screwed up.
But she can't back out of it because all of the ex-wives are instantly interested. And Emma's
especially
like, yes,
Emma.
please.
Of course.
So Dani does the bare minimum here. But even that looks really good.
Well, that's just it. She draws something for Emma, realizes that it's way too good, flips it over immediately, and it's like, okay, now we're going to do it really slowly.
Yeah, and
she was drawing really quick.
And lets Emma fill in the details, so that kind of like changes it and ruins the magic after a fashion.
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah. But Emma does go back and take a look at the perfect circus tent that she had made a minute ago.
Yeah.
And is like comparing the two, and you can see like the wheels turning. And Dani's like, we need to go now.
Yes, yes.
And this is where something weird happens.
Yeah, Scott noticed it.
To the point where my brain came to a screeching halt, and I wondered if there had been a mistake in the book.
And the problem is, you told me about it right away.
So you were looking
because
for it.
It's not spoilery, and so I noticed it too.
Yeah.
I think I would have noticed it without,
yep.
but I'm not sure. Because I knew it was there, and so it was glaringly obvious to me.
Yeah, Elliott, of course, has been working under a pseudonym this whole time. Mm-hmm. He's been going by Emmett. And throughout this chapter, and even in the last chapter when we hear the ex-wives in the background, they all call him Emmett, except for Sandy. Once.
Just once.
Just once in this chapter, calls him Elliott. Oh, we don't want Elliott to go. Something along those lines. This paraphrase. No one catches this. Elliott doesn't catch that. Dani doesn't catch that. And it's entirely possible that happens because nobody's really paying attention in that moment.
Oh, but she is, because Sandy says it, and then Beverly immediately answers it.
Yeah, but because Beverly clearly knows who she's talking about, even if she didn't catch the wrong name. But the point is, Sandy calls him Elliott. How does she know his real name?
Right?
That raises many questions.
Well, here's the thing. Based on the absolute and utter non-reaction of everybody else in the room, I cannot tell if it's an editing mistake in the real world here.
Yeah, that's why I immediately, my first thought was, did I just catch an error in the book? Which happens. This is not throwing shade at Gwenda Bond or her editors. It happens. Sometimes things get missed.
Yes.
But what if it's not a mistake?
That's the other thing. I can't tell. Like, if Dani didn't notice because she knows his name is Elliott and it didn't register.
Well, yeah.
If Elliott didn't notice because that's his name and he hears it all the time, and if no one else said anything...
It's possible they just didn't notice, or it's possible they know.
Right?
And either way, again, it raises questions. Because either all the ex-wives know that his real name is Elliott, or just Sandy knows his real name is Elliott. And either way, how does Sandy know his real name is Elliott? Unless he slipped up at some point, has given them information that they shouldn't have, or they just have information they shouldn't have.
Yeah. And how would they get that?
Especially because, as has been previously mentioned, and as is mentioned in this very chapter, Elliott and Rabbit and Mia got away scot-free.
Yeah.
When Maria got busted...
She was the only one.
She was the only one. Dani was in court. No one else was. Everyone else got out smelling like roses. So no one should know who the accomplices are.
Yeah. No one should know who Elliott is.
Even if they suspected that maybe Dani had brought in an old member of her mom's former crew to help out with security, they shouldn't know who Elliott is.
Exactly. And I don't know that this will ever get resolved.
Well, if it's a mistake, it won't get resolved.
Exactly. Or unless it at some point dawns on Dani, right? At some point she realizes, wait a minute.
Sandy called you Elliott.
She called you Elliott. And then other pieces will fall into place and, something happens with it.
It's definitely suspicious. And it immediately jumped out at me because, I did a double take because it was so glaring that Sandy had called him Elliott.
Yeah.
And then that no one reacted to it, which is why my first thought was, did I just catch an error in the book? I don't know that I did, though. I think that might have been a very subtle clue that something is going on. And again, we should be suspicious of everything. The book is called The Frame Up. Dani is operating on limited information. It seems like everyone else knows more than her. Maybe not everybody else has the same information, but everybody else seems to have more information. There's a mystery afoot. And I feel like this might have been a clue.
Yeah, in a story like this where it's full of secrets, right? Mm-hmm. You suspect everything.
And this was very suspicious.
Right? Indeed. Very suspicious.
At any rate, having extricated themselves from the clutches of the ex-wives, Dani and Elliott begin making their way over to the fortress and Dani has her second conversation in short order that leaves her cold.
Uh-huh.
When they're kind of chatting easily and then Elliott can't help but make a little dig about federal charges and Dani clearly not being worried about them. And Dani, of course, reads into that. And Elliott immediately backpedals and is like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That was a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
But rather than actually maybe be honest and talk with him about it, Dani decides to do the thing she does best and just avoids talking about it so it doesn't get resolved. She just swallows it and puts up her mask and carries on.
Well, because it hurt.
Yes.
And you might disagree. I'm kind of on Dani's side here. You know the parable about be careful where you put your holes?
Why don't you explain it for our listeners
really
rather
quick.
Than look at me?
It's a way to explain how to monitor your actions and be mindful about what you say and how you say it. it's equated to, like, if you put a ding in a piece of wood, like a scratch, you can paint over that or sand that off, right? It's not a big deal. It's superficial. If you put a hole, like a screw hole or a nail hole in a piece of wood, it's much, much harder to cover up and get rid of. And it's the same with how you treat people. All of the apologies in the world will never heal a broken bone or bring someone back to life, right? So be careful where you put your holes, because you might not be able to undo your damage. And that's sort of what I wish I could tell Elliott that. Like, dude, be careful what you say.
Yes, but I'm going to counter with Dani's other superpower, which seems to be her incredible ability to jump any distance to a conclusion. Because she continuously makes up her mind about what people are thinking without actually talking to them. And maybe that served her well while she was running confidence games against people who were taking advantage of
other people.
Yeah. But it's not serving her well here.
No, not even a little bit.
Especially because she probably shouldn't be trusting some of these people.
Agreed.
But in this case, like, she kind of had already made up her mind what Elliott must feel. And then she second guesses that and decides maybe I should talk to him. And then he makes a flippant comment and she doubles down on, well, I guess I know how he feels. When she should just talk to him and get it sorted out.
Yeah, except she can't talk to him right now because they're standing outside the Fortress of Art being two different people.
Well, they had a moment on their way over and he blew it and then she blew it as well. So...
No, I agree.
Dani could know right now where she stands with him if she would just talk to him. But she's acting like a teenager and not talking to him. Because as we discussed last episode, she's dealing with arrested development that she hasn't really come to grips with.
It's true.
So that's just where we're at. At any rate, her day is further ruined when they get to the fortress and she tells the security guard to let them in and he looks past her at Elliott for confirmation, even though she's his superior. So she's just having a bad time.
Well, and she pulls a small power move, right, to make him do the thing.
Yeah.
Like, her employee will get the security guard to open the door for her because that's where she is on the hierarchy.
And then her day is just completely ruined when who's waiting in the Fortress of Art for her? Archer talking to Brad.
Like, frying pan to fire, right? Just from bad to worse. The last person she wants to see is Archer.
Yeah, who's there sticking his nose in things, apparently.
Gross.
Not surprising. And also, we know that Archer and Brad have a pre-existing relationship, so...
Yeah. I'm curious about that one, too.
Maybe...
Archer seems to have his gross little creepy fingers everywhere.
I mean, we knew that right off the top.
Yeah, I know. I still don't like it.
Yeah. At any rate, we'll maybe learn a little bit about what Archer is doing there as we tiptoe our way into Chapter 15, which you'll want to read in time for next week.
Yeah.
In the meantime, as always, you can give us a little rating and a review.
Because we always appreciate those. Thank you.
You can also get a hold of us via social media.
Oh, absolutely. Pick your poison. We have several. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Goodreads. We are at The Read Along on most of those.
Yeah, you can also send us an email.
Oh, that's preferred. Please do. You can reach us at thereadalong@gmail.com.
And with that said, as always, we love you very much, and we'll see you next time.
4 days out.
Thank you for joining us on The Read Along with your hosts, Anita and Scott Bourgeois. All Read Along music is by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Cover art is by Aaron Beaver. Be sure to join us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Read Along, and check out our group on Goodreads.com.